All right, what is up, my friends? Welcome. This is an exciting section, folks. I'm not gonna lie. The Bloomburrow complete set review. Going over all the cards, constructed, limited, giving out the awards you know and love. We do white, blue, black, red, and green, and now we're in the multicolor section, which is perhaps the most exciting section of the entire thing. So buckle up, all right? And we got a lot of awesome cards to go over. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. If you missed any of the review, it's gonna be up on YouTube. Go watch it. It's all sorted nicely for you. Check it out. And for all you live folks, it's here for you. You're all great. You're watching me live. That's great. Thanks so much. So, reminder real fast. Tenny Bruce going to be next Wednesday on the early access stream. 10 new standard decks. I always do that, of course, as we do. And we got Bronze Mythic happening. Release day on Tuesday the 30th. That evening, I'm going to be doing my first draft, and that's very exciting as well. And of course, I have a great sponsor. Freaking Elgato, folks. How do I do this? With that right there, and I'm really excited because new computer. I got a new computer. I got my freaking Elgato Stream Deck Plus I want to set up, which is super awesome. We got that to work on as well. All my gear is Elgato, folks. I got the key lights, the face cam, the stream decks. It controls all of my content. All right. And if you need a camera or a stream deck or a capture card or anything, Elgato is your place to go. Super high quality, super easy to use. Just the best gear, not close. Use promo code ZZGym5 for 5% off your order on Elgato. Please use the link in chat or description because obviously they sponsor me, and I want to make sure you use my links. They know I'm sending you there. But check them out. Great stuff, Elgato. Elgato partner, and damn proud of it. Multicolor begins with Alania Divergent Storm. This is an Is It 5-drop Legendary Otter Wizard, 3/5. Whenever you cast a spell, if it's the first instant spell, the first sorcery spell, or the first otter spell, other than Alania you've cast this turn, you may have target opponent draw a card. If you do, copy the spell. You may choose new targets. Obviously, a really fun commander card. Gonna be a super sweet limited card. This card is not functional and constructed. It is a 5-drop that doesn't do anything until you do more things. And even then, you're giving opponent cards and stuff too. So, yeah, I mean, really fun card. Copying spells is super fun. Giving your opponents cards is not super fun. But definitely cool things you can do with this in Commander. Obviously, copy Time Walks or whatever you want to do. But yeah, mostly a limited Commander card. But cool and limited too. Copying, card draw spells, whatever, is pretty sweet too. And then, of course, the average gift of a card in limited is much worse too. So, fun limited card. That's really it though. Baylen, the Haymaker. Naya, 3-drop, 4/3 Rabbit Warrior. Tap 2 untapped tokens you control at a mana of any color. That's really powerful. Tap 3 untapped tokens you control, draw a card. That's also really powerful. Tap 4 untapped tokens you control. Put 3 counters on this and against trample until end of turn. This card is really powerful, although awkward and difficult to use. Making your tokens tap for mana allows you to use this card immediately, and it's very powerful. So food tokens, clue tokens, creature tokens, whatever else it might be. That's really good. And that's the kind of immediate value you want to get of a creature like this. So you don't fall behind if they kill it. Tapping 3 to draw a card, also really cool. This card's great. Just really good. The only fear and the trouble, of course, is the 3-color card. You would think most Rabbit token decks would be green-white. So adding red there is a little more difficult. So if there's a deck that can play it, this card's excellent. That might not be found, but it's really good. Great limited card. Definitely splash this if you can. If you're playing a token deck, this card's pretty busto. But yeah, card's great. Really fun card. Really cool design. Definitely held back by the mana cost a little bit, but very powerful. Burrowguard Mentor. This is our signpost uncommon for green and white. Green and white is all about rabbits. It's all about going wide. And this card does that really well. Green white for a 2-drop with trample. Power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control. It does count itself, so it's a 1/1 at the worst. This card is going to be an absolute house in limited because the rabbit decks are all about going wide. And then constructed is interesting. This card competes with Regal Bunnicorn, which counts your non-creature permanents also. But trample on an effect like this is really important. One of Bunnicorn's biggest problems is it's a 12/12 and it's chump block it. So this card's good. Definite constructed potential. Great limited card. And tells you exactly what the green-white rabbit decks want to do. Camellia, the Seedmiser, is our next card. 3 mana for a Squirrel Warlock Legend for 3. I feel like there's so many legendary 3/3s for 3, it's ridiculous, but has menace, gives other squirrels menace. And then whenever you sacrifice 1 or more foods, make a squirrel. Pay 2 forage, put a counter on each other squirrel you control. So obviously, this is like a real build around for your squirrels and foods. This is going to be a great limited card if you're playing the squirrel food archetype. Constructive, this card probably isn't good enough. Not enough upfront value, and then just kind of a little too mopey, but great limited card, bomb for the archetype, fun card to build around. Cindering Cutthroat. So in this set, we saw in Modern Horizons 3, we saw a cycle of common gold cards that were all really, really powerful. Writhing Crystals and friends. In this set, we've got a cycle of common hybrid cards. Obviously not as powerful as the cards in Modern Horizons 3, but pretty good, and then also big-time signifiers or signposting what the colors want to do. So Rakdos is all about these outlaw lizards dealing damage to things and benefiting from it. So we have a 3-mana 3/2. It EDVs with a +++ counter on it if a opponent lost life this turn, which should not be hard to do. So very close to a 3-mana 4/3. And then 2 mana will give it Menace on a turn also. This card's very good. Just everything that these decks want to be doing. Not as good if you're only black or only red. But I think this card's excellent. I think this is a nuts and bolts kind of creature for your aggro decks, and should play pretty well. Clement the Worrywort. 3-mana for a 3/3 frog druid with vigilance. Whenever it or another creature ETBs, return up to 1 target creature you control with lesser mana value to its owner's hand. So you don't have to, but you can. And then all your frogs tap for blue and green. Very similar to Camellia. What Camellia is to squirrels, this is to frogs, right? So the frog mechanic is all about bouncing your own stuff for value and doing it over and over again. This allows you to bounce stuff, but also gives you the mana back to help play them again. Because the problem is bouncing your own stuff is obviously very tempo negative, which is a rough place to be in modern day Magic. This allows you to use your frogs to tap for mana and recast stuff, which is really, really cool. Will it be a playable deck in Standard? Similar to the Squirrel Lord, I don't really think so, but an absolute banger in Limited if this is the deck you're playing. But yeah, definitely a really cool card. I think an outside shot in Constructed because there are a lot of really good frog cards, which we'll be getting to. Corpseberry Cultivator, the Signpost Golgari card. 3 mana for a 2/3. Beginning of combat your turn, you may forage, and whenever you do forage, put a counter on this. Seems fine. The problem with forage, of course, is there are diminishing returns. You can only forage so much before you run out of graveyard or food. And this card needs to forage at least once to be playable. So, I don't know. It seems okay. A little worse than the Rakdos one so far. Certainly playable if you're in the deck hardcore, but seems fine. Dreamdew Entrancer. Folks, I freaking love this card. I think this card is awesome. And huge, huge sleeper. 4 mana for a 3/4 with reach. Body's pretty good. Whenever it ETBs, you tap 1 creature and put 3 stun counters on it. This looks like a limited card, right? ETB, tap a thing, stun it. Folks, 3 stun counters, all right? Put that thing to sleep. It's out of here for a while. If that's all it did, probably wouldn't be enough, However, if you target your own creature, you draw 2 cards. So if I have a random mana dork in play, maybe a random 1/2 that got me a land, tap that thing and just draw 2. And then, of course, the entire frog theme is all about bouncing your own stuff. So you play this thing, you can target your own creature and stun it, and then just bounce it. Bounce this thing, tap their stuff, draw more cards. I think this card's incredible. I think this card is phenomenal, awesome, playable on pure rate alone, and then also really good with synergy things as well. You can build a ramp deck where you play this thing and tap stuff to stay alive, or tap your mana dorks to draw cards. I think this card's awesome. Awesome. You will definitely see this card at Dreamdew Bruise, and maybe a little more. But card's great. Great limited card also. Love this card. Adore it. Probably my favorite card in the entire set, honestly. Dreamdew Entrancer. Next up is Finneas Ace Archer. This is the Selesnya Rabbit rare. 2 mana for a 2/2. Rabbit Archer. Vigilance Reach. Whenever it attacks, put a +++ counter on each other creature you control. That's a token or a rabbit. That's very powerful. Then if creatures you control have 10 or more power total, draw a card. Card's really good. Decent sized body. Rabbits want to go wide. Pumps the squad. Might draw a card. And then, of course, just going wide. Just killing stuff. So, this card's great. I think this card does have a chance in Constructed. if there is a Rabbit Go Wide deck. And this is obviously an absolute banger limited card. Just a house. Fireglass Mentor. 2 mana for a 2/1 Lizard Warlock. Beginning of your second main phase, if opponent lost life this turn, exile top 2, choose 1, you may play it till end of turn. This card's pretty good. This is sort of like a Dark Confidant E effect. They have to lose life, but Lizards are really, really good at doing that anyway. And there's also a Lizard Lord we'll get to that makes it so it's really, really easy to do. And then top 2 is great also. You can find the thing you want. Find a land if you don't got mana. Find a spell if you have things to do. Card's great. You know, the buy is a little small. It's 2/1, but I think this card's pretty awesome and a cool way for the Rakdos Lizard deck to draw some cards. Definitely a possible constructed player. Phenomenal limited card. Really, really good. Gev, Scaled Scorch. Speaking of the card that I was just talking about, this is the Lizard payoff card for constructed and limited, and it's an absolute banger. Rakdos 2-drop, 3/2 ward, pay 2 life, which is great. Right off the bat, great stat line. Other creatures you control enter with a +1/+1 counter on them for each opponent who lost life this turn. If you cast a Lizard spell, it deals 1 damage to your opponent. So, play a Lizard, deal 1, it gets a counter. That's insane. That is, if you're playing all Lizards, that is insane. It gives you reach, because all of your Lizards deal damage. It pumps all your Lizards up. And then its body itself is insanely good as well. Card's awesome. Just an absolute banger. I think if there's a Lizard aggro deck in Standard, this is the linchpin. This is a banger limited card also. It's also a mercenary, and it also crimes too. So there's a real like crossover between Lizards and the crime stuff happening from Outlaws to the Junction. Card's awesome. Great, great card. Really, really good. Big fan. Great limited card. Glarb, Calamity's Augur. Sultai 2/4 Death Touch. May look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells from mana value 4 or greater from top of your library. Tap a Surveil 2. Obviously a really powerful effect, right? 2/4 Death Touch for 3 with ability to cast extra spells. Even just playing lands off the top is good too. This is like Corsair Crucifix on steroids, honestly. But it's really hard to cast, which is a problem. So, what deck wants this card is a hard question to answer. But if a deck does want it, it is really, really powerful. It's a really, really good card. So, we'll have to go from there. Maybe like a Sultai Lands deck, maybe something like that. But yeah, definitely cool card, great art. If you can cast it unlimited, it's an absolute banger. If you can't cast it, that sucks, I guess. Head of Homestead, 5 mana Selesnya Common, 3/2 ETB 2 rabbits. This is what you want to do in your rabbit deck. Make lots of rabbits, right? Making rabbit. Yeah. Helga, Skittish Seer. This is a Bant 1/3 Frog Druid. Cast a creature spell with mana value 4 or greater. You draw a card, gain 1 life, and put a counter on this. It's pretty good. Tap it to add X mana of any one color, where X is its power. Spends mana only to cast creature spells with mana value 4 or greater, or creature spells with X in their cost. Another really, really good, powerful card, where it's making mana, drawing cards. Plays well with the Chariot or Asika or whatever. Asika and something else from March the Machine. It's like a blue-green rare. The only tap for creature mana. Really, really cool and a fun creature deck. It's a frog, and the Calamity's Augur is also a frog. So maybe some like tribals happening there too, with like Cavern Souls or whatever. But yeah, cool card. Don't know where it goes. But yeah, and if you cast it limited, it's also great there too. But kind of weird one. Hugs. Everyone likes Hugs, right? I like Hugs too. Hugs is insane. Red, green, X. 5/5 trample, exploration. When it enters, exile top X cards of your library. Till the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. So, absolute floor, 5 mana 5/5 exploration. Sorry, 4 mana 5/5 exploration. Not good enough by itself, but if you need to cast it, you can. Then, as you scale up, things get better and better, right? This thing starts drawing cards. The restriction of only playing them until the end of your next turn makes the extra land drop thing really, really good, because you get to play more lands off of it and have more mana for the next turn too. And then the best thing about this card is how well it chains. So your first Hugs, you cast it for X's too. Play an extra land, you know, whatever, draw a spell, cool. It dies to a spell. But now your next Hugs is even bigger because of all the extra lands it got you and so on and so forth, and just scales really, really well. This card's a house. I think this card's absolutely huge. It's a beater. It draws cards. This is your kind of average modern day good mythic rare where it does literally everything. It's hacks. It's huge. It draws cards. Has good effects. Card's great. Hugs is huge. Also a limited banger, obviously. Just great. Great card. And the one fear is the mana cost. Because you're usually playing it for like 6 mana, it's not as bad as it looks either. So, card's great. Best in show. Hugs. A Grizzly Guardian. Junkblade Bruiser is our Gruul common hybrid card. 5 mana for a 4/5 trample. Whenever you expand 4, +2/+1 item turn. Okay. Not as exciting as some of the other ones, right? Where a 4/5 for 5 is okay. You can expend and get a 6/6 for a turn, sure. Yeah. It's just fine. Not that exciting, just reasonable. Expend, not really a mechanic you're building around that much. Castrel, the Wind-Crested. 5 mana for a 4/5 Flying Bird Scout. If one or more birds you control deal combat damage to a player, choose one. Put a bird creature card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield with a finality counter. Jeez. Put a honor on each bird you control or draw a card. Important to note, it's one or more birds. So you'll only ever get this trigger once a turn. But it is a powerful effect. Pump a team, draw a card, and then put in things to play for free. I don't know what the best bird to put in play for free is, but powerful effect, can use it immediately. That being said, it does cost 5 mana, and that's to be a bird deck. You know, but yeah, and also things from graveyard's cool too. Obviously, an absolutely insane, unbeatable limited mom. Constructed, there has to be a bird deck. We'll see if there is or not. But yeah, powerful card, pretty fun card. Looks pretty cool. Lily Splash Mentor's Dex. This is our signpost uncommon for Simic. It's a frog. Surprise. It's got reach. Surprise. 3 mana, exile another creature you control. Return to the battlefield under its owner control with a counter on it at sorcery speed. It's also just a freaking 4/4. So, on rate, 4/4 reach for 4 is already great. And then a great mana sink and a great way to utilize all of your special ETB effects with your frogs. Card's a banger. Looking forward to drafting frogs. I hope it's good, not a trap. But great limited card. Nothing more, though. Lunar Convocation. Black-white enchantment. Again, really cool art. Beginning of your end step. If you gained life this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. Beginning of your end step. If you gained and lost life this turn, make a bat with flying. Pay 2 life, draw a card. Very weird card. You know, requires a lot of other things to go right. You know, the black-white mechanic is about trying to gain and lose life. You could obviously just draw a card off this to lose the life, but you need a way to gain life because it does not produce life in any way possible. So a synergy card, definitely a diminishing returns kind of card, like kind of a clunky card. I don't see this card really getting into that much trouble in standard. It is definitely a good limited card if you are like that deck for sure. But yeah, kind of cool with Shielded for sure. But yeah, weird backwards Bitter Blossom. Fun build around. I'm going to try it, don't get me wrong. It looks really, really cool. I'm just not really convinced. I'm not really a believer. Mabel, Heir to Cragflame. 3 mana for a 3/3. Lord for Mice. Whenever Mabel ETBs, create Cragflame, a legendary colorless equipment token with a creature has +1/+1, has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste, and then equip 2. Okay, so it does celebrate for your celebration stuff, which is kind of cool. It's also a Mice Lord. There's some Mice stuff happening in other sets as well. The equipment isn't that good. You know, Vigilance, Trample, Haste, equip for 2 it's okay. Great limited card for sure, just, you know, on pure rate, but not really there in constructed, I don't think. Unless there is a mouse deck, or something like that, but yeah. Mind Drill Assailant. This is your hybrid Dimir card. We have a 4 mana 2/5, has Threshold. 7 more cards in your graveyard gets +3/+0, so it's going to be a 5/5. And then 3 mana Surveil 1. Pretty good card, honestly. If the Surveil kind of like Threshold archetype works, this is a pretty big beater. It defends you till you get there. And it's a 5/5 for 4, which is pretty good too. So seems reasonable, but definitely needs to be like, you know, in a deck that's doing what it's doing. Without Threshold, this card's absolutely terrible. So, yeah. Moonrise Cleric. This is your black-white hybrid signpost. 2/3 flyer, attack, gain a life. Great. Everything you want in this deck. Body's great, gains life. Awesome. Great card. Great limited card. Couldn't ask for more. Pretty simple. Again, I love the simplicity of a lot of these designs. Up next is America.
Still a piece of garbage.
Trash Tactician. This is a Gruul 3-mana 2/4 Raccoon Warrior. Being your first main phase, add a red or green for each raccoon you control. It does count itself. Whenever you expend 4, gain 3 life. Good. That's just good, you know. Whenever you expend 8, exile top 2 cards of your library. Till the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. I think this card has legs, folks. Serious legs. There's a good raccoon mana ramp creature, which is pretty good by itself. You don't need to have that many raccoons in play for this thing to be good, because it's just good by itself. Gaining life while you're ramping is great, too. And if you get up to 8 mana and start doing that ability, it self-perpetuates and really, really goes. So, I think this card's sweet. The body's pretty good. It's kind of hard to kill. I'm a fan. I think this card's a constructed playable card for sure. And then limited to an absolute banger for sure. Keep saying for sure. Sorry, my bad. Plumecreed Mentor. This is your signpost for Azorius. 2-mana for a 2/3 flyer. Whenever this or other creature of flying enters, put a +1 encounter on target creature you control without flying. Wow, so it helps out the little folks that aren't able to fly themselves. Of course, that basically damns this card for constructed because, like, if you're playing a flying deck, you want all your cards to have flying. But great limited card for sure. You know, body's pretty good. Counters up, and can kind of make your, you know, your non-flyers in your draft deck into bigger creatures are cool too. So yeah, good limited card. Nothing more though. Pond Prophet. This is the card, folks. All right, you want to know why your frog decks and work in limited? It's this card right here. Green or blue hybrid. 1/1 frog ETB draw card. Normally, in the context of just, you know, an average magic card, not so good, right? Eldritch Visionary, whatever, who cares? In the context of a draft archetype that wants to bounce their things over and over and over and over again, this card's going to go nuts. This is your linchpin card, Bombin Common. If the Simic deck works, this is the card that makes it work. And the good news is that non-Simic folks won't really want this card either, so you should get them late too. So, card's a banger, really, really good. Constructed has a chance. You know, we've seen Eldritch Visionary work in Constructed before in certain scenarios. This might be a scenario for it. But yeah, card's great. Do not sleep on this little froggy because this card is awesome. Rawl, Crackling Wit, the only Planeswalker of a set. 4-mana walker, 4 loyalty. Has, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a loyalty counter on this. Pretty good. Prowess for loyalty counters. You plus it to make an otter with prowess. You -3 to draw 3, discard 2. -10 to draw 3, and get an emblem where all of your instant sorceries have storm. That's right, you can storm kill your opponent in limited with this card or in standard with this card. That's pretty wild. That being said, not really a huge fan. This sort of like, you know, make a really small creature with prowess that we don't really want to block with as a plus. Didn't work very well for Jaya, whatever that Jaya is. And it doesn't seem particularly powerful also. And then -3 to draw 3, discard 2. I mean, it's cool, but like, doesn't defend itself at all then, you know? And if you're going to cantrip and stuff and get counters on this, like, I guess, but like, doesn't seem great either. So maybe I'm wrong. It's a pretty powerful passive ability, but I think that the +1 and -3 just aren't that exciting. So, I don't know. Seems okay. Maybe I'm wrong, but not overly impressed with Rawl, Crackling Wit. Great limited card, though, because Planeswalkers are busted and limited, so take it there and crush evil. Seedglaive Mentor. This is the signpost.com for Boros. 2-mana for a 3/2. Vigilance, Haste. Good stat line. Valiant. Whenever it becomes target of a spell or ability for the first time each turn, put a counter on it. Card's great. You know, hits hard. Does what you want to do. The rate stats alone are good, and then it can go bigger than that. I would say that it's not there in Constructed. I think if it had a third point top this, it'd be there in Constructed, but, you know, a little too easy to kill or block. But for limited, this card's a banger. Just an absolute bomb. Seedpod Squire, your Azorius build around on a common hybrid card. 4-mana for a 3/3 flyer. Whenever it attacks, target creature you control without flying, +1/+1 to end of turn. That's fine. 3/3 flyer for 4, the old Phantom monster, ain't what it used to be. It's still pretty good. And that effect is also kind of just fine, but not, like, overtly exciting. It's good. You play it your deck. I would not be surprised if you cut this card occasionally. It does trigger your heroic effects, which is kind of cool, but I don't know. Seems good, but not uncuttable in limited. Starseer Mentor, 5 mana 4, and a Zorzov 3/5 Flying Vigilance Bat Warlock. Already great stat line. Beating for end step. If you gained or lost life this turn, target opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. Powerful effect. 3/5 Flying Vigilance for 5 is almost good enough by itself. And then if you're, gaining and losing life or whatever and having this hit over and over and over again, it's going to add up. So, great limited card, great build around, not constructed. Stormcatch Mentor, 2 mana for a 1/1 haste prowess. Instant sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast. That's powerful. My worry is the body is just too small here. This Goblin Ultramancer effect can be really, really good. But it's kind of a beater that isn't very big. That being said, still a pretty good card, overall. My fear is you play this in turn 2 and you're just like, all right, go, I guess. Just can't attack with it, and then next turn has a go. But card is powerful. I think if your blue-red deck is really, really good, this card will be very, very good. But I think if you have an average or kind of non-totally together blue-red deck, this card will not be that good. So that's where I'm at. And then I don't think this card is good enough for constructed because I just don't think it's big enough, honestly. Tempest Angler, your Is-It Signpost Common. 3 mana for a 2/2. If you cast a non-creature spell, put a counter on this. This is just, what's it called? The stupid elemental, whatever it's called. Yeah. Good card, though. This is a very solid card. Prowess that sticks around is huge. And this is easy to cast. Turns on other stuff. Great common. Spellgorge are weird. That's the one. Thank you. The infamous Cruelclaw.
It's a trap.
It's a trap, folks. This card reads kind of cool, but has a lot of issues. 2 mana for a 3/3 menace. This is a Weasel Mercenary. Whenever skills combat damage to a player, exile cards on top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by discarding a card rather than paying its mana cost. Okay, so there's a lot of problems here. It sort of reads like an aggro card, right? It's got menace, has a damage trigger. But if you want to get paid off this ability, you want big things in your deck, like a ramp cheaty kind of card. If you are doing that and playing big things in your deck, it's going to be a lot harder for this thing to stick and then hit. And then even if you do hit, you might not hit the one you want as well anyway. So, yeah, having to hit on damage is a lot to ask, and then you're not even paid off necessarily either. I think this card it's got big dreams written all over it, but they're mostly dreams and not reality. So, Cruelclaw, not so good. I think this card's pretty much unplayable, constructed. And limited, it's fine. Whatever, sure. A little upside, discard a land, cast a spell for free, cool. But yeah, overall, trap card for Multicolor is the infamous Cruelclaw, infamous for a reason. Tidecaller Mentor is our signpost uncommon for Dimir. The mana for a 3/3 menace, pretty good. Threshold. When it enters, if you have Threshold, you return it to one target non-land permanent in its owner's hand. Good. Good card. Decent body, Threshold, bounce a thing. Not amazing. Not a huge payoff or anything like that, but fine, solid card. Fine for your limited deck. Nothing more. Veteran Guard Mouse is our Boros hybrid card. 4 mana for a 3/4. Valiant, whenever it's targeted by a spell or ability the first time. Gets +1 so and gains first strike on the turn and scry 1. Pretty good. I worry that the sizing is kind of But if you have a lot of ways to target it, it is quite good. It hits really hard. Scries are cool also. But if you're not exactly the Valiant deck, not very exciting. So kind of like card you get late. Vinereap Mentor. 2 mana for a 3/2 Squirrel Druid. EDB or die, make a food. Absolute banger. Just a home run card on rate. Playable because the rate's so good. And then limited this card's insane. Just like great body, get a food, dies, get a food, forge for days. Great limited card. Definitely playable constructed card. Just really, really good. Vren the Relentless, Dimir 4 mana 3/4. It's got Ward 2. If a creature your opponent controls would die, exile it instead. Beginning of each end step, create X 1/1 black rat tokens with this creature gets +1/+1 for each other rat you control, where X is the number of creatures that your opponents controlled that were exiled this turn. So not forever, just this turn. Obviously, this card's pretty cool, right? You play it, yeah, you kill their stuff and exile it and make a bunch of rats that are huge. But realistically, this is more of a commander card. You know, you're not getting enough here, I don't think. The ward's kind of cool. But, like, you aren't playing this over, like, Shieldred or some sort of, like, other mid-range card that's just much better and more flexible. So, cool card. But, yeah, obviously a banger and limited. But, overall, Wandertale Mentor. Big fan of this card. Especially alongside the Trash Tactician. 2 mana for a 2/2. Another freaking 2 mana dork. Ever you expend 4, put a counter on it. Awesome, right? Play it on turn 2. Play a 4-drop on turn 3. Now you have a 3/3. Awesome. Constructed playable for sure. Limited playable, excellent. Card's just great. Really good mana dork. I feel like it's going to be hard to rate all the mana dorks in this set, but this one is excellent if you can guess it. Yurgra, Eater of All, one of the Calamity Beasts. This is a Golgari 5 mana 6/6. Ward, sacrifice a food. Now that sounds insane, right? That they have a food. But if you keep reading, other creatures are food artifacts in addition to the other types and have the food text. So every creature in play is a food. Whenever a food is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put 2 counters on this. So it's ward attack creature, which is a lot worse, obviously. But cool, obviously. You know, it's a predator. Everything's food. When all you have a hammer, everything's a nail kind of thing. Can get really, really big, but the killing thing here is it has no evasion. So, like, it's just a big idiot. And a 5 mana big idiot is not really that exciting. Yeah, I don't know. It seems fine. Obviously, an absolute bomb and limited, but don't really see it in constructed. You know, just kind of cool. All right. Zoraline, Cosmos Caller. 3 mana for an Orzhov 3/3 flying vigilance rare. Jeez. Whenever a bat you control attacks, you gain a life. Holy crap. Whenever it enters or attacks, you may pay black, white, and 2 life. When you do, return target non-land permanent card mana value 3 or less. If you're graveyard to battle with a finality counter on it, oh my god, this card's insane. Holy crap.
Oh, it's Lightning Helix! Oh my
It just keeps going. You just keep reading. It gets better and better. 3/3 flying vigilance for 3 is already good and limited. The bat life gain trigger is excellent. And you have this ability to recur things as well. Card's insane. Insane limited card. Constructed, probably not. The ability is a little too hard to use. But absolute banger limited card. Crazy one. So to recap, Multicolor, best in show is Hugs. Dreamdew Entrancer, and my favorite card in the set is your sleeper card. The Infamous Cruelclaw is your trap card, and your Bombin Common is Pond Prophet, which I think is going to be insane. So we got one section left where there are a bunch of banger lands. Don't go anywhere for that. You two folks, though, love you. Like, comment, subscribe. You're all great. Let's roll.